When Link was growing up, he didn't have very many paranormal experiences. In fact, like many of us, his world, it was grounded in mostly the ordinary. But all of that, it changed one day after his mother passed away.
I was at home taking care of where I used to live and her home because the family had already moved by that time. We're 30 years old. I heard these two little girls giggling on the other end of the house. It was just a shock because no one had lived there.
Now, from that moment, Link's interest in the paranormal, it began to grow. He found himself watching those live cams from haunted locations late into the night, captivated by the mysteries that they held. Now, his curiosity, it would eventually lead him to the infamous Hinsdale House, also known on this podcast as the Dandy House. It was here that Link would have his first profound encounter.
From my first night, I found out, exhausted from a 10-hour drive, exhausted from setting up for 10 hours. I just get laid down. I hear this key in the doorknob 3 feet away from my feet.
Now, Link's experiences at the Hinsdale House, they weren't just limited to the auditory phenomena. The house seemed to have a life of its own, crafting an atmosphere of constant unease.
Dan and I were there in the backyard. The lights on the ground had gone black and then turned back on. And I did ask him if it's happened before, and he did admit to me that, yes, it has happened before.
Now, for Link, the allure of the paranormal, it was undeniable. You see, he sought answers, not entertainment. And his journey, it's led him to uncover some of the most compelling evidence of the supernatural. But sometimes, the things that we investigate, they can follow us home.
So I turn around and hear the dog is in the house looking at me like it want to come out.
Link's quest for understanding continues, but you just found yourself in another episode of Retraced Echoes.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Retraced Echoes. If this is your first time exploring the unknown with Bert, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on our social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook by searching for Retraced Echoes. Would you love to have your story told by Bert on this podcast? All you have to do is visit our website at www.retracedechoes. Come and submit your story. Also, don't forget to check out Link's YouTube channel, Link Dandy Paranormal Network, and help him explore the paranormal. You will find a link to his channel in the description down below. Now back to Bert as he navigates the paranormal web of Link's past.
As a child, Link played in the safety of his own home. From adolescence up into adulthood, life remained relatively grounded in the tangible and the known. He was just a normal guy that was navigating through life the best way that he could. You see, he'd never truly experienced anything that most people would call supernatural. Things like ghosts and spirits and the unknown, the unexplainable. Those were all tales for campfires and movies, not for parts of his life. But in 1991, for Link, everything changed.
I was at home taking care of where I used to live and her home. Cut the grass and you take care of it so it makes it look like somebody's living there, so it's less likely to be broken into while you're gone, because the family had already moved by that time. We're 30 years old. And on my way out the door, after I was done doing what I was doing for the weekend, I heard these two little girls giggling on the other end of the house.
Link just stood there, frozen. The sounds of giggling children was constantly replaying, almost like echoing in his mind. He knew every single corner of this home. He'd grown up here. But this sound, it was alien, foreign to his memories. You see, no one lived here anymore. The house had been vacant since his mother passed away. So why? Why laughter? The unmistakable giggling of little girls coming from the other side of the house. This was just an ordinary day, another weekend spent maintaining the property. But in that moment, everything changed. The reality that he knew, it was shattered as he realized there was no logical explanation for what he was hearing.
My dad had built the place. It wasn't somebody else's house. There wasn't a house on the property before that. So where these little girls came from, there was nobody outside. The neighbors weren't home, kind of a thing. On the way out of the door, I looked, and the only thing that came to my mind, first experience, was, well, you guys have fun over there. I gotta go now.
Now, like everything in life, Link, he had to move on. He couldn't dwell on things that he couldn't explain, but it definitely for him opened a door of curiosity. Now, that curiosity would grow with a little thing called the internet. You see, there was a new kind of entertainment that began to emerge. There was websites that was offering live camera feeds in some of the most haunted locations around the world. And it was starting to gain some popularity. People would log in after a long day at work, just eagerly watching for any kind of signs of movements and hint of the paranormal. It was like a voyeur's paradise into a haunting reality.
On the next all-new Ghost Hunters, in this abandoned train station,
I saw somebody walk by me.
the only travelers
Just heard a voice. Sounded like a woman.
are lost souls searching for the afterlife.
And it didn't take very long. You see, television networks was watching what these websites was doing. The fascination that the people had for what I would call the paranormal craze. The 2000s, it saw a rise of paranormal shows like Celebrity Paranormal Project, Ghost Hunters, Paranormal State. Audiences they couldn't get enough. They would tune in week after week, hoping to catch a glimpse of the unknown. But Link, he stayed diligent with his group of friends. You see, for Link, it was more than just watching paranormal activity.
Every other night, it seemed like that's how I had gotten into the paranormal field. Was I stumbled across, for example, the living room of the Dandy House on Facebook. The comment section was there, and then we ended up all being friends, and then we'd meet there numerous times. You get to know people's names and backgrounds, and then be friends outside on Facebook, outside of just the live streams. All of the locations that my parapeeps, if you will, the friends that you acquire over time, watching orbs, or you see smoke coming in across the floor, which is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. And in one of the places, I think it's in Kansas, where I just about fell out of my chair. I've seen and heard so many unbelievable things watching those types of videos. And a lot of us missed it. I told my friends, I said, well, when I got my first appointment with the haunted Hinsdale House, Dandy House, I'll take videos and then post it online so that they can watch at their leisure, and it won't be to my schedule. It'll be to, they can just watch it whenever they have time.
So Link had a plan. If the sites that he and his paranormal friends loved so much was unavailable, he would do the next best thing. He would go to Hinsdale himself. He would set up static cameras in all the different rooms and record while he's there. He would then come back home and upload those very videos to YouTube so he and his friends could continue to watch the very house that he grew to love. If anything, I guess you would say it's more of a love-hate relationship. Well, his first trip to the Hinsdale House would come in the year 2020. And Link was excited to go. You see, this very location, he watched this feed for many years. But now, he was going to be walking in each one of those rooms. He was going to be feeling the energy of the house and hearing the sounds firsthand. As he prepared for the journey, the anticipation, it was so high. You see, for him, this was no ordinary trip. It was a trip to a place that had long captivated his imagination. You see, the Hinsdale House had become legendary. Legendary in the world of the paranormal, known for its intense activity and its eerie history. Link was about to step into the heart of that very mystery. Arriving at the Hinsdale House, Link would just kind of let the moment set in. Just kind of let it sink in his mind for just a few moments. The house, it was like it was sitting there, almost as though it was waiting on him. Every creak of the old wooden floors, every whisper of the wind through the trees, it was like it was calling to him. This was it. The very moment that he had been waiting on. Now, the first night, Link was exhausted. You see, he had drove for 10 hours and then spent another 10 hours setting up the equipment. He had brought a friend along just to help with the sheer volume of gear. But as the night wore on, his friend fell asleep, leaving Link alone into the darkness. But he was no stranger to the house. You see, he had read Clara Dandy and Paul Kenyon's books multiple times, memorizing every single detail. He lay down on a bed not very far away from his friend. But despite his exhaustion, there was like a sense of unease that kind of kept him awake. He was waiting, almost like he was waiting for the house to show its dark secrets.
I was getting ready to go to bed my first night there. It was a little nerve-wracking, but I had read the books. I'd read Clara's books 27 times. I think I read Paul's book 27 times. And Paul's book is huge. Clara's book, that's a good book. Paul's book is great, but it's long. So, yes, I had it memorized, and I'm like, okay, how come nothing's happening to me here?
Lying in the darkness, Link's mind raced. The house, it seemed quiet, almost too quiet. And then it happened.
While I'm laying down, I hear this key, 11:30, in the doorknob, 3 feet away from my feet. And I froze because I was afraid of someone trying to enter the home without announcing themselves. The key noise sounded like sticking a key in the keyhole for about 7 to 15 seconds.
The sound was unmistakable. It was as if the house itself was acknowledging his presence. The sense of unease grew as the night wore on. You see, the Hinsdale House, it was no mere building. It was a living, breathing entity, and it was making itself known.
And then the doorknob went like this, chink, 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 chink. And if you know what a doorknob sounds like that's locked, talk about gonna have a heart attack.
He kept thinking to himself, maybe someone's breaking in. Maybe this is an intruder. But then he had a realization. You see, there was no sound of footsteps on the wooden porch that was leading up to this very door. So whoever, or possibly in this case, whatever, was at the door, they came silently, without disturbing the old wooden boards.
There was no noise of somebody coming in the locked porch door, nor walking across the porch floor to get to the front door. So I said, oh, it's a ghost, or it's an entity. And I said, oh, that's to be expected. Within 10 seconds, I was out like a light when I realized where I am. And well, yeah, I read these books. I'm here. That's to be expected.
Link drifted off to sleep, knowing that he was in the presence of something otherworldly. See, the Hinsdale House, it had made his first impression. But what Link did not know was that the very next morning, it would make another impression. Literally. As he would wake up, the remnants of the previous night's encounter, they would be etched on his body, a physical testament to the unseen forces at work at the Hinsdale House.
When I woke up in the morning, 10 huge scratches on between the glute and the thigh, a burn mark.
Link was completely confused. His body bore the marks of an encounter that he couldn't explain. He had 10 deep scratches and a burn mark, and something even more unsettling.
And then teeth marks, like if you had dentures and you pushed the denture into your hand.
The physical evidence, it was irrefutable. The 10 scratches, each about 4 inches long and evenly spaced. It looked like someone had drawn with a deck screw or a nail across his skin. The pain was sharp, and the sight, it was horrifying. Now, in this confusion and desperation, Link took photos of the injuries, hoping to document the unexplained attack. Confused by what he was looking at, he didn't get a picture of the burn on his lip or the bite mark on his hand. Now, he knew the challenges that might lay ahead, the skepticism. It was going to be there, especially in a world of the paranormal. But he knew what happened in that room. He knew that it was real. He had nothing to prove to anybody.
That was my first experience at the Dandies. And how do you get teeth marks and then a burn mark right on my lip? And I was surprised those went away right away. But the 10 scratches that were like nails. Now, my nail, I don't have nails. You know, they're like flat. And so if you were to go against your skin, you just make these wide red marks. You don't make like a nail. You take a nail and go on there. It's just like using a knife. You know, I mean, it's more rough though, because it's not as smooth as a knife. But a nail would make that type of marks that I had.
The scratches, the burn mark, the bite mark on his hand. I mean, with experiences like this and his friend not being very far away, his companion, they must have had a very similar experience. Except they had not. You see, they slept very peacefully through the night, untouched by whatever had marked Link.
I put that picture on Paul's Dandy House page on Facebook and a couple other places. There's so many people that have those types of pictures out there for money that no one believes it. But, you know, I don't know what to say. I woke up with it. I didn't do it. And it's not for money. It's look at this.
What a first night to have at a property. It was almost as though whatever was on the other side of that door, it was trying to make Link aware that it was there. With the key sound and the turning of the knob. Now, Link was scared when he thought that there was an intruder inside the house, but not once he discovered that the intruder was otherworldly. It was almost like once Link fell asleep, the house felt disrespected. It felt as though Link wasn't taking its true power as being realistic. It was taking it for granted. And it wanted to leave a very tangible reminder of its true power on Link. But this would not be the only encounter experienced at the location for Link. During another visit, Link found himself outside in the backyard with Dan, who's the current owner of the property now. Now, the night was completely pitch black, and there was only little slivers of light that was escaping from the home. The darkness, it was so profound that seeing more than just a few feet in front of you, it was nearly impossible. Now, Dan, he had called Link earlier, knowing that he was alone in the Hinsdale house, and asked if he could maybe bring a few people over. Link, he was kind of eager for the company. It was nerve-wracking being at the house alone, especially at night.
He said, do you mind if I bring some people over? Because they'd never seen the house. I'm like, yeah, I'm here all by myself. Yeah, come over. You know, it's like 11 at night. And I was, you know, it's nerve-wracking up there when you're by yourself. It is not easy, but you can do it. You have to do it yourself to know what I'm talking about. We were outside in the backyard and it was dark, 11:30 at night. And the light was coming through from the kitchen window over the sink area. And then there's a back door with 3 windows in the door. And there, one's here, one's here, and one's here. And it was coming through both the kitchen window and then the back door.
The peaceful moment, it was shattered when those little rectangles of light that was being reflected on the ground, when they disappeared. It was as though something was blocking out the light momentarily.
The lights on the ground that were coming through the back door, the 3 windows in the back door, had gone black and then turned back on. And I'm like, oh, maybe that lady who he brought, maybe she passed the back door. Maybe she was in the kitchen and passed the back door and then blocked them and then went into the bathroom, because the bathroom is right next to the back door.
Dan's response, it indicated otherwise.
He said, did you see that? And I thought, wait a minute. Why is he talking a little bit softer? Because we were talking before that and he lowered his voice and I'm like, yeah, that's probably your lady friend. You know, she's probably in the house going to the bathroom. She passed the back door. He says, well, it's possible, but she's up by the gifting tree.
The realization hit Link hard. You see, the woman, she was still outdoors, nowhere near the kitchen, or for that much, even the back door.
And my eyes popped out of my head, and I'm like, your guy is over there, you're here, I'm here taking a break, your lady's up all by herself, is what I thought. And then he said, yeah, she's all right. She got a flashlight.
The implications were clear. You see, whatever had blocked off the light on the ground, it wasn't human. It was something else, something unseen, something unexplainable.
And I'm like, oh, you guys get to leave and I got to stay. Okay. Yeah, this is great.
Now, Link was left alone with his thoughts. Link was also left alone with whatever was inside that house. Once again, the Hinsdale House, it was just proving its reputation, and it was leaving Link with far more questions than it was ever going to give answers. Link has had many experiences with this house over the years, and multiple times through the year. You see, Link just doesn't go once a year, he goes multiple times, and many of these encounters that he's had, they've been captured on video and shared on his YouTube channel, where they continue to intrigue and unsettle their viewers. But not everything in the Hinsdale House might stay at the Hinsdale House. Recently, Link has had experiences that, well, they defy explanation. You see, not that long ago, Link found himself at home. He was unwinding after a long day at work. His roommate's dog, along with his own, they went outside to go and relax.
I went outside a week ago, which coincides with Paul's recent goings on at his home that he had told me about past week. But I went outside on one of these evenings after work, and my roommate has a dog and I have a dog, and that dog wanted to go outside with me. So I'm like, okay. Now I just got to watch it. And I'm trying to come down after work, and you sit in the lawn chair and let the dog goes out. The front, for lack of a better word, veranda, where the entrance to the home is, it's got like this wall, a raised wall where you could put fake flowers, you could plant real flowers, whatever. It's probably 20 feet long. So the dog comes out with me, and then I'm watching it walk. I'm to the left, the door is over here, and I'm watching it walk over to the grass over to my right. And a minute or two goes by and no one's home. All the windows and doors are locked. The air's on, except for the door that I came out of, because you could be sitting in the front of your house and be broken in from behind your house. Not that there's anybody back there, but it's just good way to live. You keep things locked, you know. I heard this, and so I turn around and here the dog is in the house, in the glass storm window, looking at me like it want to come out.
The sight was baffling. Now, Link was certain that the dogs was outside with him, and there was no way that they could have gotten back inside without him noticing. The situation, it echoed of strange occurrences described by Clara, where dogs seemed to appear and disappear unexplainably.
So I'm like, oh my. Clara had this too. Dogs go in and out when they didn't do it. So I let the dog out again. And I'm like, I got to tell everybody at work about this, because the same, Clara had that too. The dogs are either out, they're supposed to be in, or, vice versa.
Now, these small unexplainable events, they add a whole new layer to the mystery that surrounds Link's life. You see, the supernatural, it seemed to follow him, intertwined with his everyday life, to his very existence in ways that defy logic and explanation. It's like it flows like a wave. The Hinsdale House, it might be the epicenter of experiences, but I believe that it's very possible that its influence, maybe it reaches far beyond its walls. But it's not important what I believe. The question is, what do you believe? Are Link's experiences the result of just an overactive imagination? Or do you believe that they're a genuine encounter with the supernatural? From chilling sounds of little girls giggling in an empty house to the eerie appearance of teeth marks and scratches on his body. And let's not forget about the eerie movement of the dogs. The evidence is both compelling as well as baffling. The haunted Hinsdale House, also known as the Dandy House, seems to reach out and touch those that dare to investigate. Link's journey into the paranormal is filled with moments that defy explanation. Each encounter, each mark left on the body, each sound on the video, it challenged our understanding of reality. Is it possible that the spirits of the past are trying to communicate with the living? Or is there another, even more mysterious force at work? Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, one thing's clear. Link's dedication to uncovering the truth is unwavering. He wants to create a place where all can investigate the Dandy House themselves. Almost daily, Link uploads a new video, a different room, a different time in the house, and he invites you to join him in the quest to solve the mystery. In the comments, share what you see and hear. Every shadow, every whisper, every flicker of light could be a clue. Together you can help Link piece together the puzzle that is the Hinsdale House. Who knows? Who knows what truths you might uncover?
Thank you for joining us on this eerie journey into Link's personal story and the haunted history of the Hinsdale House. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast to stay updated on all our latest episodes. We're on all major social media platforms: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Follow us for exclusive behind-the-scenes content, updates, and more. And don't forget to visit our website at www.retracedechos.com to submit your own stories. Your support helps us keep exploring the unknown and uncovering more spine-chilling tales. If you're fascinated by paranormal investigations and unsolved mysteries, don't miss Deceptive Reality, a podcast co-hosted by Bert and his buddy Nick. Every Friday, they dive into a different unsolved mystery, exploring every twist and turn in detail. From baffling disappearances to unexplained phenomena, Deceptive Reality brings you the most perplexing cases, inviting you to join them in unraveling the mysteries. Subscribe today and venture into the unknown with them every week. Lastly, make sure that you check Link's YouTube channel and help him uncover all the secrets of the haunted Hinsdale House. As always, all the links are in the description below.
I want to thank you all for joining me on this voyage today of digging into Link in the haunted Hinsdale House. Now, the full interview with Link, that's going to come out in just a few days. At least that's the goal, God willing. And don't forget to check out Link's channel, Link Dandy Paranormal Network. You're going to find it down the description down below. Remember, in the world of the paranormal, every shadow and every whisper holds a story waiting to be uncovered. Until I see you in the next podcast, goodbye.
Felt so wrong. Heard those giggles in the hallway like a twisted song. Scratches on my two worlds, reality and fright, living with the unknown every single night. Echoes in the dark, shadows on the wall, whispers in the night, answering the call. Haunted by the past, spirits come alive, living with the ghosts in a house that never dies. Caught between two worlds, reality and fright, living with the unknown every single night. Echoes in the dark, shadows on the wall, whispers in the night, answering the call. Haunted by the past, spirits come alive, living with the ghosts in a house that never dies. In the dead of night, I felt their icy breath, figures in the corners, a dance of life and death. Dogs inside and out, where they shouldn't be. Reality is twisted, haunting me. Dan and I in the backyard, lights began to fade. Thought it was just the shadows, tricks the darkness played. But the woman wasn't near, she was far from sight. Something crossed our path, deep into the night. Feeling so alone, even with friends near. Haunted by the silence, overwhelmed with fear. Echoes in the dark, shadows on the wall, whispers in the night, answering the call. Haunted by the past, spirits come alive, living with the ghosts in a house that never dies. Now I share my story, hope you'll understand. Living with the echoes in this haunted land. Join me in the quest, see what you can find.